evening and welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference and is also being broadcast by FCTV on cable channel 9. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. We are missing one commissioner, however, we have more than a quorum, so we're moving forward. Just a reminder for commenting, I'll call on each of you in turn, so we're not tripping over each other. Also, all votes are done by roll call. So when I call your name, state your name for the record with your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public attendees, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. If you'd like to participate in a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I will call for public comment. When you are selected, you will be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Regarding RDAs, under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the Commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply. Therefore, the project may proceed as proposed. A positive determination means the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply and/or may require some conditions. Therefore, the project would require a notice of intent application. So as an applicant, you want to hear a negative determination. For the benefit of anyone waiting for a particular hearing tonight, so that you're not waiting unnecessarily, the following matters are expected to be continued. Number 30 Woodneck and number 117 Little Neck Bars Road. First up is a request for a continuance for determination of applicability. First up, Margaret Foffenoff, 30 Woodneck Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove the existing cesspool and install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Alyssa.
The applicant has requested a continuance until October 2nd.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this matter until October 2nd. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until October 2nd. Next up is a request for a continuance under a notice of intent. Nordo Nissi III and Jane Nissi, 117 Little Neck Bars Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to reconstruct a garage, install a pool with patios, construct a deck and rinse station, and install mitigation plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until October 30th.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
This will be the third continuance. Is there any explanation?
They're still working on the plan, and the long continuance is because Tim Santos is going on vacation, so he won't be around for half the month. And he's still working on the plans.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this notice until 10:30. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 10:30. All right, next up, request for determination of applicability. First item's been previously continued. Brings us to John Bacon, 10 Palm Street, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove the existing deck and steps reconstruct the rinse station and construct an addition, covered porch, and a patio. Alyssa.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project solely takes place in an AE flood zone.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve,
Pat and I.
thank you. It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Mark Brown, 96 Bridge Street, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a sunroom, deck, shed, dormers, and porch expansion, and to renovate the house, including roof alterations. Alyssa.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed, and this project solely takes place in an AE flood zone.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up are continued requests for determination of applicability. First up, Jeffrey and Barbara Lintner, 0 Quaker Road, map and parcel ID is 05-01-087-007, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage and Title V compliant sewage disposal system on an undeveloped lot. Alyssa.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
And why is this only an RDA?
They are outside of the buffers. Let me just open up the plan here.
This is the one, Jamie, where they went back and redid the delineation because we have 3 delineations. So we have a nice fresh delineation now. And it shows that. wetland
Yeah, and
boundary
I'm sorry,
buffer.
I
They pulled
did
all
read
the
that
flags
staff
down
report,
not
so-
to get confused. And they went in there and redid it without any like old flagging up or anything. So,
Good, good.
okay. And
Thank
Blue
you.
Flax did the delineation over again.
Okay. Thanks, Teresa. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. We're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
And aye.
Steve, I'm sorry, Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up are continued requests for a hearing under notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Wetlands Bylaw, and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First item has been previously continued, brings us to Richard C. Barrett, trustee, Richard C. Barrett Revocable Trust, 3 Childs River Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install a vinyl sheet piling bulkhead behind a failing timber retaining wall. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant would like a continuance until October 30th. This was a late continuance. They received the staff comments. And they want to do some more investigation.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second. Is that October 30th?
October 30th, yes.
Thank you.
All right. We're voting to, for the continuance to 10:30. Questions or comments? All right. We're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until October 30th. Next up's going to be the same thing, but I've got to read it for the legal. 9 Childs River LLC, 9 Childs River Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install a vinyl sheet piling bulkhead behind a failing timber retaining wall. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting a continuance until October 30th.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
I mean, when we open them, we'll open them simultaneous, but I just figured for the continuance, I better read them both.
That's fine.
I don't know. Already done, so live with it. All right, we're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until October 30th. Next up, KFN Hillside Nominee Trust, 24 Willis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4633 to reduce the size of the previously approved patio, relocate the drainage structure and the shed, replace the wooden boardwalk to the beach, and relocate mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am attempting to promote their project team up. Attorney Torrent Flores, I'm promoting Sean Riley up. Is there anyone else?
Sean is texting me. He's on the Harwich Conservation Commission Zoom. You guys zoomed through your agenda items, so he's unfortunately asking if we can just kick this to the end so he can join, because he's being called in Harwich right now.
Not a problem. We can table this until he's available. We only have one more hearing and 4 orders to write up, 4 orders to vote. So hopefully he's quick.
Yeah, and if he's not, I think I can wing it and answer most of your questions, but it would be great to have him since.
Yeah, we'll table it and see where we land.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Not a
I'll make a-
problem. I'll return you to attendees.
I'll make a motion to table this hearing.
Bird, second.
All right, we're voting to table this. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have tabled number 24 Willis Lane. So that brings us to, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, Scott and Agnieszka Dresser, trustees, 44 Walk Landing Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4861 to reconstruct the foundation. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Mark Diva from Cape and Islands Engineering to promote the project. Mark, I see Raoul's in attendees as well. Am I promoting him up for this?
Nope. I'm not sure why he's there.
Okay.
Monitoring you.
I don't know if he was looking at an order of conditions later. I don't know. So
Okay.
I should be able to
You're
handle
up,
this.
sir.
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
So tonight, this is an amendment to this plan, which was previously approved at the beginning of the year. When we got it approved, the approval was for the driveway, the septic system, the house, or the garage, the house, the mitigation. and a renovation to the second floor of the house. Then we actually, I think, received an administrative approval or for just the second floor. I think there was just some wording on the plan that did not properly describe the project. However, once the owner contracted a builder, the foundation was reviewed, and a couple builders suggested the foundation be replaced, and the builder that decided to proceed with has also made that suggestion. So we're hereby requesting to amend the order to allow the house to be completely torn down and the foundation to be rebuilt. And a component of this project now includes that the portion of the house inside the Falmouth V zone, so the 25-foot from the FEMA V zone, will be on piles, with the remaining portion of the house on a foundation. So we do believe by putting the section that is in the V zone on piles, that we do meet your regulation for that work, and it's going to remain to be rebuilt in the same footprint, and that is the requested amendment to the project. If you have any question, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Mark. You can stop sharing. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Our only concern would have been the portion of the house in the V zone being on pilings. We did receive architecturals that does reflect that it is going to be on pilings. Mark, we just got the foundation architecturals. We didn't get the full architecturals. Do you have the full architecturals completed? Because we weren't able to see whether or not they had paneling. They do realize that it's going to be open piles and there's going to be no paneling, correct?
Yes, they do realize that. I do think they potentially wanted to get this approval using the foundation plan, but it could be conditioned to reflect that. So I'm not sure if the architecturals were finalized at this point, but based on discussions I think the builder might have had with you guys, yes, they understand there will not be panels on that.
Okay, so we'll make
area.
Since we don't have the architecturals, we'll have to make a special condition. Open piles, no paneling.
Yep.
No paneling. Okay. And then once the architecturals are completed, we'll want a copy for our file.
Okay.
And then two. I just don't want to get into the thing where the architecturals, they, go through the whole design of an entire set of architecturals. All of a sudden we see these breakaway panelings and we're kicking it back at the building department level. And it gets kind of hung up. So I don't want that to happen. So as long as the applicant is aware there's no lattice, no breakaway paneling, no anything.
Nothing.
Open.
Could I ask one question? I know in some cases you do allow up to 200 square feet enclosed. Could that apply to this? Could they put a small area for kayaks or something like that?
If they want to come back for an amendment because it wasn't shown on the plan.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking for the full architecturals
Okay.
At this point, there's no enclosed space. If they want to have an enclosed space of 200 feet for some storage, they will need to come back for an amendment.
Okay. Right now, there's
Okay.
no enclosed
Yeah,
space.
but no, that's
Got it.
perfectly fine, but it will need to come back as an amendment because we
Okay.
just don't have that on the architecturals. We don't see that.
Understood.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
All right. Alyssa.
But yeah, that's
No
fine.
comments. Thank you.
All right, Betsy, if you don't mind, I'm going to start because I have a question about, you're completely tearing this down and starting all over again, correct?
At this point, yes.
Okay, so your plans don't represent that.
Um,
Your architectural plans say demo floor framing. So I don't know if I'm buying into this. This is a whole new, this is a raise and rebuild. So my question to staff would be, would this have been permittable when we originally approved the reconstruction? I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but you know, it's always fishy when something comes back with a change with that, you know, I don't know.
What was that question, Jamie, to staff? I was opening my plan.
Well, this is now a raise and rebuild,
Correct.
100% tear down and start all over again.
Correct.
So would this have been, when this was originally approved back in whatever it was, January, would a complete raise and rebuild would have been okay?
Yes,
Okay.
if it met the V zone standards, which
Got it.
this
So-
one does.
Okay. All right. So my hang up is the architectural plan doesn't represent what you're saying, Mark.
So
So-
we can continue it for revised architecturals to
Well,
reflect.
I don't
what
know.
we're
I'm not
doing.
looking for trouble. You know, it's I mean, it's approvable and everything, but again, it's, you know, and if they want to enclose it, I don't know. I would rather see it come back as a,
Yeah.
you know, with the corrected plans to you. Courtney, put your hand down. I'll get to everybody. Relax. Jen, go ahead.
What is the language that's concerning you, Jamie?
Well, it doesn't say I'm tearing the foundation out and putting a new one in. It says, I quote, demo floor framing and exterior walls as revised to facilitate excavation. That's verbiage you would use if you were going to go in and partially rebuild something. So again, I'm not looking to split hairs, but you know, it is an
Mark?
amendment, so it should have been.
Can you explain that?
I guess a separate question. Would there happen to be a Steve Mielke in the?
No.
Okay. I thought once they were planning to redo the foundation as this, you know, with these piles, and I believed the intention was to rebuild the house. Demo floor framing.
You know what, Mark? We're gonna have to get revised plans that reflect that accurately, revised architecturals to reflect it accurately. Sorry, I don't mean to kick this, but I could get you next week if you can get me revised architecturals by the end of the week that clearly state that this whole thing is coming down and that is going up on pilings, and that's going to be a slab with pilings.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Because your plan isn't apparently accurately, the architectural is not accurately reflecting what you're telling us is going to happen, unfortunately. You got to remember, I got builders on the board.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
just
hold that thought. Let's go through the rest of the commissioners and see what if there's anything else. Again, Mark, I'm not looking for trouble, but I do have a problem with that. Commissioner comments, Betsy.
Comments? No comments.
Okay. Courtney.
I'll just reinforce what the general conversation here is, particularly as a resident curmudgeon. You guys are coming from this. You got owners that want to do a big project. You got to do your homework. You should have brought a builder in and figured it all out. You you should have come into us back in January with the full deal. You're finding this out now. It's just poor. It wastes your time. It wastes the owner's time. It wastes our time. I'm sorry, but you know, you got to continue it. Come back with a full-blown set so there's no questions, so we can move this through. No other questions.
All right. I think they did figure out that it should have been different, Courtney. I think it just wasn't reflected accurately in the plan.
On the foundation plan.
I mean, the foundation plan, you know. Kevin,
No additional comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ron?
I'm all set, thank you.
All right. Steve?
Nothing else. Thank you.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
There's nothing in the public chat, but I want to ask Mark a question. Mark, do you want to just continue it to next week to get us a revised foundation plan, or do you want to continue it a few more weeks, consult with your client about that enclosed space, and then get us architecturals that show that enclosed space so you don't have to come back for an amendment? I'm just giving you options here.
If we were able to both clarify this main answer, and if desired, show an enclosure by tomorrow and get it back to you, is that okay?
Board, would that be okay with you? We can get
I'd
it.
rather wait and see the whole thing. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll have the whole thing ready for tomorrow.
I mean, I think Courtney means an entire set of
amendments after that.
Don't talk over each other. Man.
Mark, what I think Courtney wants is the entire set of architecturals.
Yeah, yes, and I do.
That may very well be,
deal.
That may very well be done. This foundation plan was over a week ago, so
when you get it going, schedule it with staff, and then
So if I can get it, if you can get it to me tomorrow, I can give you next week. That's fine.
Thank you.
No
so
problem.
That's the 25th.
Correct. Let me just double check. 25th, we've got one new notice. That's just the day beacon for the Coast Guard, and one for just DEP only for Herring Brook. So we're looking at one new one. I don't think we've opened. Yeah, we can accommodate this on the 25th. That's fine.
Okay. Is that good for you, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'd entertain a motion for the continuance.
At the request of the applicant, I'll make a motion to continue this till September 25th.
Driscoll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to continue this until 9:25. Last call, questions or comments? All right. We're voting on the continuance. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, reluctantly, aye.
You're only voting on a continuance, so you're not approving or denying the
I
project.
just hope it's complete tomorrow, next week.
Yep, you made that clear. Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Ron?
Driscoll, aye.
Steve?
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 9:25. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. We're still tabling 24.
Yes,
right,
Attorney
we'll do
Toronto
order
Flores, when you hear from, I don't even see him anymore. When you hear from Ty and Bond, just raise your hand to alert us, please. Continuing, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So we're going to move on with orders of conditions. For the record, Ron, you're not on any of these.
Correct.
I'd appreciate if you could stick around though for 24, if you don't mind.
Will do.
Thank you,
you.
Ron.
All right. So next up is vote orders of conditions. First is Denise Jarvinin and Pierre Cremo, 122 Gardner Road, Woods Hole, Mass. Jim.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Hang on, I'm just writing my notes. 122. Okay. Okay, this was invasive species removal and restoration in accordance with a former DEP number. Trees will be added, knotweed is grown through the area. I'm blending these properties. Alyssa, this is the one where we met on site with Teresa.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they did all the work, but missed a couple treatments and the knotweed came back. So
Okay.
really going back in there, eradicating it and replanting where necessary.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
This
anything
is the
anybody
one
want to
where
see in
they're-
there? Oh, sorry.
No, this is the one where they're eventually moving lot lines and everything, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a
Yes.
bunch of lot lines being moved down there. It's really kind of fluid and funky right now.
Fluid and funky. All
Well,
right.
it
Is
is.
that a technical term? Did you learn that in school?
Scientific term.
All right, what are you thinking?
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as extensively discussed this evening.
Third, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Any other questions or comments? All right, we're voting to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Third, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Paul Cummings, 134 Edgewater Drive East, Falmouth, Mass. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman. One moment. Okay, what do we do here? Septic upgrade. Looks like we might be changing the driveway around. This is the, they're not doing any, oh yeah, are they raising and rebuilding this one, Alyssa?
yeah,
I don't have the staff report in front of me. Yeah, it looks like they have. Septic detail, raise and rebuild. No mitigation. Pretty straightforward.
yeah. The only note I had is about float compliance.
Oh yeah, this is a big float. Okay, we'll bring the float into compliance prior to signing the building permit.
Correct. Anything else? Anybody want in there?
No.
Alyssa, sorry.
Just a couple notes, Jen. We had a few plan revisions needed. I think he kind of showed us a revised plan at the hearing. We can go over those if you want. He was just adding a measurement between the house and the salt marsh and taking the dry wells off of the existing conditions plan since they're proposed.
Yep.
This was the one where there's also a buffer discrepancy. The old order allowed for 14 feet off the house to be sort of backyard space. And now it is
Oh, isn't it like
larger.
22?
And they want 22. They want to compromise and not restore the whole thing and keep a little more of the backyard, is the way I understood it.
I want 14.
Well, there it is.
And then
So
they were
it-
showing a revised lot line on the southern property line. They have to remove a couple trees in the zone A for construction access.
Mhm.
They do have a fair amount in the backyard. I'm not sure if replanting is necessary. I just brought it up.
So we're gonna bring the buffer back to the original 14 feet, deal with the float, and then all the little things we'll put in the order about correcting the revised plan. Okay. Perfect.
So I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Stephen and Susan Moore, 125 Little Neck Bars Road, West Falmouth, Mass.
We're renovating the house, moving steps in the landing, constructing an addition. It requires 168 square feet of mitigation. It's in the DCPC. The shed. Oh yeah, this one. I think the only issue we had was the use of the Hypericum, correct? She had the
We-
wrong Hypericum listed. It was supposed to be the dense shrubby one.
Yeah, we got a revised plan in today. It does label the St. John's wort as the densiflorum that we were looking for.
Okay.
His notes are kind of duplicated, so he still might need to revise this again. But he did add notation that viburnum was to be spaced 4 to 5 feet on center, and the others were to be 3 feet on center.
And the Hypericum 3 feet. Okay.
And
Yeah,
also you're
he did not. Go ahead, Betsy.
going to limit it to a certain percentage.
Yes, that was not added on here. At least I haven't found that note yet.
What percentage were we gonna do the Hypericum?
It said 20 to 30. I don't know if we're good with that though.
20-30%? It's fine. Are you okay with that, Bets?
Yeah, less is better than more.
20%, got it.
All right, anything else?
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Anything else? We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Here are my notes for one
Pat
second.
and I.
it is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Lars Berggren, 33 Martin Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Jen,
And second, Mr. Chairman, I just found my staff report for 134.
take your time. We'll give you
Yeah,
another
I'm
30
working on-
seconds.
Raise and rebuild the existing one-story dwelling, construct a new two-story dwelling with decks, bulkheads, driveways. There was some issues on the property that we had to work with Cape and Islands through to clean up. I think we've got there. I think there was an existing wall, there is an existing wall there that was constructed without a permit. But I do believe when the wall was constructed and an area of concrete added, at least the area of concrete we were originally concerned with, it wasn't in like buffer jurisdiction, it was only in riverfront because of the floodplains. The wall is I mean, it is steep, but it is needed. There is actually no way to take this wall down with that whole slope coming down.
Cause more
So
problems.
we're proposing that the wall remain, and the appropriate amount of buffer and restoration is being added to the plan. It took a while to work through this one, but we got there.
Oh, and we appreciate the effort. All right, Alessa. I know.
Really nothing to add. I think we addressed all the comments.
Excellent. All right, any other questions or comments or additions? All right, Betsy.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. All right, are we going on table 24?
Make a motion to on table 24, Willis Lane.
Bird second.
All right. This vote is to untable 24 Willows Lane. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have untabled 24 Willis Lane. So, do I have to read that all again?
No.
No, you're fine.
All right.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Sean Riley from Time Bond, Sarah Toronto Flores, sorry, I forgot the law firm. Is there anyone else I am promoting up?
No,
Sean?
thank you.
Okay.
Tabitha is here from Wilkinson Ecological as well. Is she not, Sarah?
What is the name?
I don't think she is.
Okay. All right. Sean Riley with Time Bond, thank you very much for accommodating us and letting me finish up the other hearing. You guys went right through this agenda pretty quickly. Appreciate you taking us at the end here and accommodating us. I think there are staff comments which were shared. What I'd like to do is just go through the changes that we've proposed on the plan. I've provided you with several different exhibits to really help you try to understand where these changes have been made. It's really hard to compare the two plans. So I'd like to walk you through just the site and show you where these changes have made. Some of these changes are after the fact that we were unaware that these changes were being made, and I'll walk through those as well. We did start this back when we were talking about the wetland restoration with Wilkinson, that this would be forthcoming. The changes have just been happening fast and furious since we met a year and a half ago on that. And rather than come with and file successive administrative reviews, we were trying to just capture all of the changes at once, not knowing that some of these changes did occur without our knowledge as they've been built. But I think that the overall story here is that the result of all these changes is a reduction of coverage with the removal of patios and some of the reconfigurations. So I'd just like to start on the eastern side of the property, eastern side of the house. There was a retaining wall that was proposed in the original filing. That retaining wall has not been built, so that is to be removed from the plan. There is an area that was proposed to be a patio. The landscape architect informed us that it was going to be lawn. It is my understanding now, Jennifer brought it to our attention that it is a AstroTurf, I believe, in that area. And that's this shaded area within the B to the dune, the zone B to the dune. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I just want to bring that to your attention. There were some small rinse stations that were installed that weren't shown on the original plan. And they're not your typical rinse stations that you see with the walls, and they're actually literally a rinse station. It's a 30-inch by 3-foot place to wash the feet off before you enter the house. And they've been positioned on the around to keep the kids in check. One here by this stair, one by this entrance, one here, and one here. So I think the mother took all precautions on making sure that the kids wash their feet off when they come off the beach. It doesn't mean that they're going to be used any more than if there were one, because they'll just have an option to use those rather than trying to go to one on one side of the house and then entering on the other side of the house. So that's one of the after the fact additions. There was a small reconfiguration to the spa, which grew by 17 square feet. We were unaware that grew. That is in the outer or the zone B to the dune. But just opposite of that, which we were aware of, is that they've removed 2 large portions of the patio that were proposed, and those are no longer to be constructed. So they significantly offset the minor increase of these pervious rinse stations for the feet and for the spa expansion. I'm going to leave the boardwalk for the end, and I'm just going to work my way around the property. These areas here were previously lawn, and now they are proposed to be additional mitigation plantings. We know that you typically don't like to count plantings that are immediately adjacent to the house, but I think this is a very unique case where we have a pathway working its way through the mitigation, and this is the elevated portion of this house. So this is all facade, or essentially a retaining wall for the house. So they really don't need access around the house, and this will be allowed to naturalize all the way up to the house face and all the way up to this retaining wall, which really separates and creates a nice corridor through here. So this area here was lawn, and this was lawn. So that's now to be converted to mitigation area to offset the what we've found through the building department is that the original location of the shed, which is highlighted in yellow, we were trying to pull that out under the original design to pull it as far away as possible from the resource area. And comments from the building commissioner have stated that we are too close in proximity to the property line, so we had to pull it back. So we've basically pulled it back into a very similar position that it was, relocated the path around it, and hence had to make accommodations for the reconfiguration of the mitigation areas, which we end up with more mitigation that is required in the calculations, which also accommodates the 250 square foot reduction in coverage. A minor modification to a location of a drainage structure from this area to this area. And some minor additions to the plan are, and these have not been constructed. They're finally working their way out from the house. So essentially from the back side of the house, or sorry, the front side of the house, away from the water, they're working their way out now on this portion of the property. So some minor additions to the plan again, the B zone to the BVW is an automatic gate for cars. There is a 12-foot wide way, which the neighborhood has access through. There really isn't any vehicular access with the vegetation that's in there, but there is a path down that 12-foot wide way. So there are people, and there is concerns from the applicant about security, people driving down into their property. So they'd like a gate, an automatic gate, and also a fence to basically prevent the egress of anybody that is not in the neighborhood that doesn't have rights to access over their property down to the water, and really to limit that access and disturbance down to the water to the individuals that do have rights to egress. So that is a minor change. And the majority of this transformer enclosure is outside of the buffer zone. There is a small section that ties in with a fence to the gate, and then over to the fence that's along the 12-foot wide easement. There is a minor addition to the driveway with just a reconfiguration rather than coming in and terminating short of the walkway. They've basically added this triangle within that area. Again, offset by the removal of the two patios in the rear. This was proposed as deck within this rear patio. It has now been converted to patio rather than deck. One of the really the biggest change to this plan is a result of the nourishment project that occurred, and also ties into the filing for the removal of the wave break. So there is a wave break that was proposed and is still going through the process under SE 25-4925 to remove that wave break. And the idea is, once that has gone through the permitting process, and assuming that it is approved to be removed, they would utilize the access way that was created for the beach nourishment project. And rather than replant the beach grass now, Wilkinson had put some seed down to stabilize the area. We understand that the applicant or guests of the applicant had moved some Adirondacks out there and decided to utilize that access road as a place to hang out. Once we found that out, we immediately reached out to the contractor, who had them remove those chairs, and they took a picture for me of what that area looks like now. So you can see they planted seed in here. This is the access road that went out for the nourishment, and then the wave break.
We don't see the picture, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Let me share that. Give me 1 second. Okay. How about now? Yes.
We see a
Yes.
picture.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the access path that they use for the beach nourishment. They still have the wave break that's out there, that old timber wave break that they'd be looking to access through here to remove as part of that NOI that's in process right now with the pier. And just to give you an update on that, they've been having a significant time trying to find someone to do a shellfish survey. There's very few individuals that do them, and I know that they're in great demand. So they'll be reaching out to you with an update on that.
Sean, if they're having problems with the shellfish survey, there is somebody that recently came out of retirement. So if you need a name, let me know.
Oh, that would be great. So the idea, once they had this opened up, the idea was why not create a more direct route, A to B route for there's a removable boardwalk that traverses through now that exists. So rather than continue through that area, replant that area with beach grass, have a more direct route, and then plant either side after the wave break is removed. to restore this dunal area. So that's kind of the progression of where that is with completion of revegetating the dune within this area. The dune line is actually down in this area here. The existing lawn has not been removed to be replaced for the mitigation plantings down in this area. So this will look entirely different when the project is done. Let me just jump back to share the. So this is that wave break that they're just to remind you of what they're looking to get in. They're going to need equipment to get in there to remove that. So again, the thought was to leave that access point open. Hopefully they'll get that through as it is a good project to remove that from the beach, but I won't take any more time on that. So Wilkinson submitted their plan. I guess we looked at the plan, and I guess there were 4 areas. Let me just back up. I'm just going to jump to the, if it's okay, to the staff report, Jennifer, and then just run through the questions on the staff report and try to address those comments, and then open it up to any questions, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you do me one favor, Sean? Can you go back? Did you say there was already a removable boardwalk on site, not the one that's there?
When the survey was originally done, there was a removable boardwalk that traversed through. Let me just jump back to that plan.
There was a boardwalk there, a dilapidated boardwalk. There wasn't a removable boardwalk on that site.
We'd be proposing removable boardwalk.
I think that's right, Jen. It was a real old and it zigzagged through the dunes. So this whatever remains, if there are still any, would be taken up in this more straight shot, shorter, removable boardwalk would be proposed.
Okay. All right.
It used to follow this crazy zigzag line.
Right.
Thank you.
So I'll run through the staff comments real quick. Several features on this plan are being requested for permission after the fact. Those are the ones that I discussed with the non-construction of the patios and the addition of the 4 small rinse areas and the minor expansion, the 17 square foot expansion of the spa. And again, I don't know that they knew that there were major expansions. They should have come to us and let us know that they were installing those and worked with us. The lawn in the formerly approved terrace area that was proposed to be switched to lawn. So the landscape architect had proposed that to be lawn, and from what I understand now, it is an AstroTurf. And the comment is this is not permittable and will need to be replaced. So I'll just stop right there and just ask about the concerns of that AstroTurf and see if we can address that one.
What's the base of the AstroTurf?
What's underneath the AstroTurf?
Yes.
I can find out. I know that we went through in other towns. The resorts I know are going through a process right now because they had concerns about the AstroTurf. The Witchmere is one of them, where they are going through a trial. They were concerned about the fabric deteriorating, and it's been in place for almost a year now, and they haven't found any degradation of those areas. So I'm just trying to understand how we can best address your concerns with that material in lieu of.
Well, we know nothing about what was installed. We have no specs about what was installed. We know nothing about what was installed. So maybe provide some information about what was installed so we can make a more informed decision.
Absolutely.
But we have been asked to use AstroTurf in our jurisdiction before, and the board has always said no. So
Okay.
if you could get us some specs on how it was installed, what the layering is underneath it, is it permeable? I mean,
Yep. Understood. I can provide you with all that information, and then we can table that one for now,
Okay.
knowing that we've got to come back to it.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. The fence and gate are proposed in the right of way. And that is, again, it's not really passable by vehicles. It's all heavily vegetated. Sarah, I'll let you.
The fence is on our side of the property line and is in the right of way. The fence follows, there's a gate across, but there's no fence proposed in the right of way. And as Sean indicated, there are easement holders. It's in their deeds that they have deeded rights over this 12-foot wide right of way. And so this gate will ensure that those folks can continue to have access. The gate opens, obviously, but it will also serve to deter members of the public and or people who might be further afield in the neighborhood who don't have those deeded easement rights from coming down. So that's the purpose of that gate, particularly where the easement runs along the property, but on that easement area is contained within our client's property, and where it's so close to their own entrance. This was the idea to traffic that and to make sure that the folks who are accessing it are the ones with the deeded easement rights.
So who will maintain that? So I'm assuming it'll be some sort of code that's on the gate and provided to those property owners.
If it is locked, I'm not even sure it's locked. I think it's just meant more as a visual, sort of like the signs for the shorebirds or and the invisible fencing. It's more a visible demarcation. If it is locked, if the easement holders and the owners decide they want it locked, certainly the easement holders would have code. The intent isn't certainly to prevent the easement holders.
Okay, that was our concern, is what was the purpose, and we know there are deeded easement holders, and we want to make sure that they are able to maintain access.
Correct, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I had mentioned the mitigation areas. There's a comment. Much of the newly cited mitigation is within 10 feet of the house, which is not permittable. Also, a portion of it was previously approved as restoration. Staff recommends this newly cited mitigation area is relocated within the Zone A to the dune. As discussed with Wilkinson, this is an elevated portion of the house. The grade adjacent to this is down at elevation 6.5, and the first floor is up a full story at elevation 14. So this is a full facade wall. So there really is no reason to have access around there. There's no windows in there. And so really this is all meant to just fill in for anybody that visited the site. This is a full height retaining wall, elevation 12 on the top, and then again 6 on the lower level. So allowing these plants to fully encompass the inside face of that wall, inside face of the foundation, all the way wrapping around to really create this corridor of native vegetation that ties into the wetland resource areas. So that was the thought as to why they were calling that mitigation. I'm sure that we could entertain adding additional mitigation within the A to the dune, if that's staff's recommendation.
So, my issues with the mitigation up against the thing is mitigation is supposed to be creating a buffer to the wetland resource areas. This mitigation, as proposed, you have it up against a stone wall and separated from the natural buffer by a path. If you want to have that look, that's fine, but that area cannot be counted as mitigation, and those areas do need to be relocated where they previously were in the Zone A to the buffer. If you want to add additional plantings to cover the facade, to cover that with that wall and that facade, that's great. But I recommend to the board not counting that as actual mitigation, because it's really not providing kind of like that buffer function you would be looking for the coastal dune. It's bisected by the path, and it's up against a basically a wall. So that would be my recommendation to the board.
Sorry.
It's okay. What was that?
Well, the proposed area, I'm not clear on where you'd prefer it, just so we can give this instruction.
Where it was originally proposed, down in that lawn area.
Right here, Sarah.
Okay.
Right along this
Okay.
this edge.
Okay.
In the A,
I
basically in
don't
the
have
A to
that
the,
old plan right in front of me, Sean, so I don't know if that's where it was proposed. Where it was proposed on the original approved plan
Okay.
for buffer for mitigation.
Understood.
so we can revisit that with them as well, Sarah.
Yeah. Because I was trying to see, I'm looking at Wilkinson's plan. Wilkinson's plan that was filed with this filing and is the first of the set plans does continue to show planning in zone A. I don't think that was removed. There was some added. The comparison to the upper
Ty and
right-hand
Bond's
corner.
plan doesn't show it.
I'm sorry?
Ty and Bond's plan doesn't show it. There's some discrepancies between Wilkinson's plan and Ty and Bond's plan.
I see. It's definitely on Wilkinson's plan, so that's the plan that I'm looking at. All right, but the message is that should still be there. And if it's not, then the message from staff is that the plantings that are abutting the wall can't count as mitigation. So we
Correct.
either have to add to it or put it somewhere else.
Yeah, we
Add to
can't
zone
count
A.
it. Yeah, we can't count it as mitigation, but if you wanted to leave the plantings
Right,
there
right.
to kind of shield that wall,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
fine. We just unfortunately
Get it.
you know,
Can't count it.
unfortunately we wouldn't be able to count that as mitigation.
I understand.
You can
Yeah.
keep the square footage for mitigation would just have to be added somewhere else on the plan, and you could keep those plantings as voluntary plantings to kind of again shield that wall if that's the aesthetic look you were going for.
Right. Understood. Yeah, because it also sort of feathers into the work that Wilkinson did previously. So, all right, I will explain that to
Yeah, because I
Wilkinson.
think it was originally proposed there. We kind of pushed back and said it can't be proposed there. The plan was revised to relocate it somewhere else, and now we see it back proposed there.
Okay.
So we're like, oh, we're back to the very first one.
Understood. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next on the list, there are the 4 locations of the Wilkins plan that show the mitigation differently. We just discussed that. We'll circle back with them. Staff has concerns with the proposed boardwalk located as it can create a funnel effect through the dune. The proposed, get to it. The proposed location of the boardwalk is actually a little more than 45 degrees from the direction of the wave. So, and there's a groin down the end, so we really don't see any wave action coming up and through this area as being a significant issue with funneling any more than a yep.
So my concern with that area, Sean, is it was a dune. It was kind of flattened to allow access for the beach nourishment when they wanted to go from an upland access point. That whole area was supposed to be restored. Now we have this big, huge, flat area that's not dune.
All right.
So the area should be restored as dune. If the board does allow a removable boardwalk, the area still should be restored as dune and built up with dune sand on either side and create that dune. It will help protect that property. You do not want that big slice right through there.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's
I'm not
a
saying
great
the board
idea.
will let you do that because I still do have concerns with the channeling effect of the water. Your waves aren't always going to come from this nice direction that, oh,
Right.
look, it's angled out of dune. You are going to get a storm that's going to come through there, and it's going to find that channeling. And I've gone to way too many of Rebecca Haney's workshops and seen all her pictures of channeling, of funneling, of water into sites because of these kind of breaks in dunes. So that's where my concern is.
So is the preference to have it zigzag like the existing one, or do you know what I'm saying? How do you-
Potentially, I'm not saying you can't have a boardwalk. I'm just saying I don't want it as linear through that dune. I'm
Yeah.
just concerned again of that channeling of that water through the dune onto the property.
So through the chair, if it works for the commissioners, I like the idea of reestablishing that dune as a buffer as well, and also as a source, a sediment source to build that up. I'm reminded of Scussett Beach in Bourne, where there's a wooden walk that traverses up and over the dune. So I could recommend to the client, if the commission finds a palette for it, that we could recreate that elevated dune form that we go up and over within that area by on the way out, essentially from removing that breakwater that's out there, and basically work our way out, build it up, and plant that area, if that would work.
I mean, Sean, is Scussets boardwalk removable?
It is. It's actually a rollout
Is it?
boardwalk. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been out
I
there.
don't know that they remove it, but I would assume that they probably do during any major nor'easters, or at least pull it back to the backside of the dune,
Yep. Okay.
and off the beach. But it's a great.
Yeah, if you were to do that kind of configuration, I definitely would want to see that whole area where that container was, those lounge chairs. Now, those lounge chairs in the container was removed too, because it wasn't just the Adirondack chairs in the fire
Everything
pit.
was.
There was a lot of stuff over there.
Everything was. They went out there and
Okay.
took it out today.
Yeah, so that whole area should have been restored.
Mhm.
Because in the future, I think you can possibly get dredge spoils. I think you're one of the beaches in the beach management plan that can benefit from the dredging of Green Pond.
Yes.
That's correct.
So I
We
just
just-
don't know what, yeah.
The intention, sorry, and through the chair, the intention has always been to restore, the dune, at least definitely the plantings, if not the elevation. I'm not sure of that, but and the reason, and Wilkinson did want me to express the reason that hasn't happened yet is because the wave break hasn't been pulled out yet, so they still need it. But as soon as that is done, then they can get rid of that access, and definitely the intent is to reestablish and restore that coastal dune, so we can get you that in notes on the plan.
Yeah, and if Wilkinson can kind of sketch it up, like giving it some elevation. I know
Yeah.
you've got to get the wave break out of there. We don't want you to do it until that wave break is out of there. But I
Right.
thought the wave break was part of the dock project.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
It is. So if
Okay.
for some reason the dock project doesn't continue, then this will still continue on its own merit, that wave break, because they want that out.
So if it doesn't continue for whatever reason through the dock project, then you'll need another amendment
Yeah.
for this
Right.
order to add the wave break in.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
It probably should have been added into this one. It just makes it cleaner.
Right.
Instead of jumping from the backside of the property with the dock, all of a sudden we're going to get rid of this little wave break out there.
Is it too
Yeah.
late?
But
Where it's filed already?
Well, I think
Could
you're going to be
could we move it?
requesting a continuance
Yes.
anyway. So if you wanted to add the removal of the wave break into this
Yeah.
order, into this proposal,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a bad idea.
right.
It just ties more neatly into this work because you're going to be working, pulling that and getting it out. So you'll be requesting a continuance anyway to look at the revised plans,
Yep.
look at the mitigation, get us the AstroTurf. I really would suggest it's just kind of awkward lying out there in the dock project. It was like an afterthought. So I think it
that's
would be
right.
better suited proposed in this project.
I think it would also expedite the replanting of that dune to really pull everything
That's
together.
kind of my
Yeah.
thought process as well.
No,
So
no, that's great. That's great because I'm sure they want to work their way out, as
yeah,
soon as
so
possible.
add that into this proposal.
Yep.
Just kind of take the narrative part of the doc and just add it into this. And
Yep.
then when we circle back from the doc, we'll just take it out of that one.
Perfect. 4 locations, blah, blah, blah. Staff has the boardwalk. 4 rinse stations. I showed you the images of those. They really are foot rinse stations.
Yep.
They have a nice crushed stone base underneath them, and they're completely pervious. So it's not one of your typical rinse stations that may turn into something else. The area adjacent to the old boardwalk cleared for the previously approved deposition of the sand that we just discussed that. All the chairs and stuff were removed. And we just discussed the area. Hopefully we can expedite that with the removal of the wave break. I know we've covered a lot here, so I'd just like to open it up to any questions that the commissioners may have on any part of what I've presented.
And Sean, I appreciate you addressing or trying to address our comments and looking into them some more. Thank you.
All right, Sean, if you would stop sharing, please.
Yes.
But don't be annoyed if we ask you to bring something back up.
No worries.
We tend to do that. All right, Jen.
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Alyssa.
Nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner comments. Courtney.
Yeah, I have a couple. The AstroTurf, are you mitigating for that?
We would be. We would be.
Okay,
We would be, absolutely. Yep.
all right. My second comment is to reinforce what staff says about the mitigation plantings up against the house. The purpose of those mitigation plantings is to create a buffer. And once you create a buffer, it isn't to be disturbed. As a contractor, I'm retired, but if I were still in the business, I might get a phone call from the owner in about 10 years saying, I need to replace the roof. I need to replace the siding. And oh, by the way, I want to paint it. So now I've got to use a skyhook to get up and do the job because there's no way to get staging and everything else into mitigation plantings. It just doesn't make any sense. So you got to get it away from there from a practical standpoint. And finally, as far as the right of way, you propose a gate, and I believe you're saying this gate is not locked. I want to understand that a little better. I'm old and a little deaf, and I might have missed something.
I think it's just a gate that pulls shut. I'm not certain if the intention is to have a lock on it. It's more the visual, a gate. It opens and closes with a little latch.
Okay,
If it is locked, though, the easement holders would be notified and have the passcode.
I mean, in my mind, if this is a deeded right of way, then how are you going to control access? Do you have a guard there with checking people to see whether they in fact have the right of the way, or that is somebody's
Courtney,
family?
I think they're saying that
I don't think you should have it there.
Mhm.
Other than that, I have no other comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I just want to reiterate the plantings around the foundation. I agree with what Courtney said about repairable access. However, I'd be fine with you want to put plants there and trample them and repairs. That's your problem, but that doesn't count for mitigation. That's all.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
All right, Kevin.
No additional comments, Mr. Chairman.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Ron.
I hate to beat a dead horse, but back to that gate. If it's a vegetated right away and people have walked through it, what do you need a gate there anyway? It's isolated. It's at the end of a dead-end street. How many people would actually go out there that didn't actually know they belong? But just a little sign.
Yeah, we have
Well, there's-
a history before we even bought the property, and Jen may remember this. Members of the public come down and go through that marsh and around. It was like a free-for-all before it was a construction site, and once it is, buttoned up and it's just the folks living there, we are fearful that public. I mean, they come down the beach, and they come down the back. So it is an ongoing problem. But obviously easement holders are entitled to access and will continue to have that access.
Ron, I can elaborate. That property was vacant for many, many, many years. And it just kind of became I don't even want to blame the neighborhood, but it did become an area where people would frequent. They don't respect property boundaries. When we were out there monitoring the plovers, we saw a number of trespassers, and on the back side of that marsh, we also discovered, was it ATV tracks or something?
Yeah.
I think I remember something like that. So people do know about that right of way. They do know about that easement. I was first alerted to that area, and it being an easement by the Shellfish Constable. He was aware that it was an easement, so it is used. But it is deeded to certain homeowners. So it is kind of like a private little right of way. It's not public access.
Right.
Okay.
Anything else, Ron?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, Steve.
No, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
All right, Betsy.
I just want to comment that I think Jen did a really good job of picking up all these and making good suggestions all the way around this property. And I would urge you, since you have to come back, to get rid of whatever that old piece of whatever it is, wave break
Yeah.
out as part of this project. And then you can come back, and I agree with Jen. You should make that area. I mean, dunes come and go depending on the waves, but you could artificially make one come as part of this project, and then definitely not have a straight shot across the dunes. I mean, this is a velocity zone. You have no idea of what way the waves are going to approach this in a storm.
Okay, great.
And
good?
just one more question, not to beat the gate, but Ron, I am one of the biggest advocates for public access. I will fight for it. Is it a hill I will die on? If this was truly public access, I would be fighting for no gate. Just to put it out there.
All right.
Plus, there is public access at the beginning of the road anyway, so.
Correct.
All right, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Just me asking Justin to make me host at the beginning of the hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that was important. I'm glad I heard that. Thank you.
Nothing
All
in the
right.
public chat for this
Thank you
project.
for sharing that. Yes.
Do we have a
All right,
date for continuance?
How much
Riley,
time?
what would you like for a continuance date?
4 weeks,
Okay, let me grab my
somewhere
phone
around 4
here.
weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Give us
All right,
enough time to pull everything together.
Yeah, let me see. That'll bring us to me and my paper in here. I'm on.
Just make sure the two plans match each other this time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can get you on 4 full weeks would be 1, 2, 3. 4 full weeks would be the 16th, or you can have the 23rd. Let me double check our gotta fix the lighting in this room.
The
Either
16th
one.
would be great.
Actually, you know what? yeah, you're on for the 16th anyway.
Oh,
Okay.
the other one, the dock is?
The dock's on the 16th.
Oh, interesting.
But if you
Okay.
don't have your shellfish survey done
Right.
yet,
Right.
reach out to me tomorrow. Like I said, there is a gentleman that just came out of retirement recently and started doing shellfish surveys again.
Great. Thank you.
At the request of the applicant, I'll make a motion to continue this till October 16th.
Bird
Just-
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until October 16th. Last call, questions or comments?
No,
All right, we're voting on the continuance. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I,
It is unanimous. We have continued this until October 16th.
Great. Thanks again
Thank
for
you.
accommodating
Thank you,
the time.
Yeah,
Great
thanks very
job,
much,
Sean.
everyone. Thank you.
really seriously,
Appreciate
We
it.
love
Really
it
good
when you-
Zoom.
approach the questions in the order they were presented.
Great.
Thanks
Thank you
very
all.
much.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, last motion. Who wants it?
Bird, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Pat and second.
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Driscoll, aye.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned.